Once upon a time, in a land of gentle snowfall and evergreen forests, the sky stretched pale and dreamy, dotted with stars that twinkled as if whispering secrets. It was the season when lanterns glowed warmly behind frosted windows, when laughter drifted like faint music over snow-covered roofs. This was a winter of wonders, but one quiet hush waited on the horizon. The villagers sensed something unusual would happen, something that would make this Christmas more magical than any they had known before. In a small cottage near the forest's edge lived a girl named Alma. Alma loved the hush of winter nights, the creak of her boots in fresh snow, and the scent of pine cones warming by the hearth. She also had a special fondness for the reindeer who roamed the icy plains. She watched them from a distance as they grazed on lichen and pawed at snowdrifts for hidden treats. There was a gentle dignity in their stride and a quiet wisdom in their dark, gentle eyes. Though Alma had never spoken to them, she often imagined that the reindeer carried old songs in their hearts, lullabies passed down through frosty generations. A few travelers' tales hinted that, once in 100 winters, the reindeer gathered and sang beneath a sky of snowdrops and northern lights. It sounded too marvelous to be true, yet Alma hoped secretly that she might witness such a miracle. As the holiday approached, the village prepared for its usual festivities, baking spicy gingerbread, carving wooden ornaments, and placing wreaths on every door. But some subtle tension weighed on people's smiles. It had been a challenging year. Harsh storms had battered early crops, and a quiet sadness lingered, as if everyone carried a secret worry. They longed for a sign that all would be well, that hope and joy would return with the dawn of Christmas. One afternoon, as Alma strolled near the forest's edge, she encountered a figure. Dressed in a cloak of deep green, trimmed with white fur, an old wanderer, perhaps? As Alma approached, the figure lifted a hand in greeting. To her surprise, it was not a human hand, but a slender hoof. Standing before her was an elf-like being, half-spirit of the winter woods. "Child," said the being in a voice like distant chimes, "I sense your heart's curiosity. You wonder about the reindeer and their ancient songs, do you not?" Alma caught her breath. She had never told anyone these thoughts. She nodded. "Yes, I've heard tales. Is it true they sometimes sing?" The being smiled softly. "True indeed. On a rare and special night, when kindness meets courage and hope is reborn, the reindeer gather under the dancing snowdrops and sing a chorus that can mend hearts. This year may be that time, but the reindeer need a sign, a reason to share their secret music." Alma's heart fluttered with excitement and wonder. "What must be done?" she asked. The being lowered its head thoughtfully. "There is sorrow in your village. People need a spark of joy, a reminder that beyond hardship lies renewal. If you find a way to reassure them, perhaps by showing gentle acts that restore faith in each other, then, when midnight falls on Christmas Eve, the reindeer may gather and sing." The next day, Alma reflected on this. The villagers carried burdens silently, and though they made merry preparations, something weighed down their cheer. Perhaps she could help. She wasn't a great craftswoman, nor a renowned speaker, but maybe small acts of kindness would ripple through the community. Alma started simple. She visited old Mr. Thornberry, who lived alone near the lake's edge. He had lost hope after his fishing nets were ruined in a storm. She brought him warm bread and listened to his stories. After sharing his troubles, his voice regained a touch of brightness. "Thank you, Alma," he said. "Your visit is like a candle in the dark." Encouraged, Alma went on to Mrs. Lakewood, whose berry garden had been ravaged by early frost. She offered to help carry water from the well so Mrs. Lakewood could attempt a new winter planting of hardy herbs. The woman smiled through watery eyes, grateful not just for the help, but for Alma's faith that her garden might bloom anew. At the schoolhouse, Alma noticed the children, whispering about broken sleds and missing mittens. She rallied a few neighbors to donate spare mittens and to help mend sleds. Soon, laughter replaced worried whispers. Children glided over snowy slopes, rosy-cheeked and shouting joyful greetings. The elders, watching from porches, smiled more often now. Each act of kindness seemed to cast a gentle glow over the village. People began sharing what they had, whether advice, a loaf of bread, or an encouraging word, and gradually the heavy tension eased. Alma saw neighbors greeting each other with warmer smiles, lingering in conversation. The village started to shimmer with a quiet unity. As Christmas Eve approached, the sky showed hints of something extraordinary. Soft, glowing curtains of pale green and pink light began to ripple at the horizon. Auroras, dancing on the edge of night. And, more curious still, delicate blossoms, white as snow, began to appear in hidden corners. Snowdrops blooming despite the frost. Alma knew these flowers were the sign the elf being mentioned. Soon the reindeer might gather. At dusk on Christmas Eve, Alma felt compelled to follow the same path where she'd met the elf-like being. Carrying a small lantern and wearing a warm cloak, she left the village, its lights twinkling behind her. She came to the forest and found footprints, hoofprints, elegant and sure, leading deeper into the trees. She followed them quietly, heart pounding with anticipation. The woods were hushed, branches coated in soft snow. Every so often, she glimpsed a gentle sparkle that might be a hidden fairy or a wisp of starlight. After a long walk, she reached a clearing she'd never seen before. In this clearing, snowdrops, tiny, delicate white flowers, grew in a circle, glowing faintly in the moonlight, and around them stood the reindeer. They were all there, tall, graceful creatures with antlers arching proudly. Some sported a dusting of frost on their fur, others wore subtle garlands of evergreen. Their eyes reflected the moon's glow, warm and kind. Alma recognized these reindeer from afar, though never had she been so close. She held her breath, stepping softly to the edge of the clearing. A hush lay over the scene, as if the forest itself listened intently. The reindeer glanced at Alma, but did not flee. The elf being from before emerged, standing at the opposite side of the clearing, nodding approval to Alma. It seemed both human and animal trusted her presence. As the clock of nature's deep rhythm approached midnight, the auroras overhead flared more brightly, coloring the snow in subtle shades of lavender and blue. The reindeer began to move, forming a gentle circle among the snowdrops. They bowed their heads once, twice. And then, without warning, a soft humming emerged. Alma's heart nearly stopped. The humming blossomed into a gentle melody, low and resonant, like distant flutes, mixed with the lullaby of wind through hollow trees. Each reindeer added its voice to the chorus, layering tones that felt both ancient and new. The sound caressed Alma's ears, filling her with a warmth that words cannot describe. The music painted images in her mind, seeds sleeping under snow, waiting for spring, stars guiding lost travelers, children's laughter warming chilly nights, families mending hurt feelings with compassion. She realized the reindeer weren't singing words, but the essence of hope and renewal. Their chorus was a gift to the world, woven from memory, love, and faith in goodness. This was the magic that would restore sparkle to every heart that listened. A gentle breeze carried the notes back toward the village. Alma imagined how people would awaken to a subtle sense of wonder, how their holiday warmth would multiply, knowing something rare and beautiful had happened in the quiet darkness.